All right. Good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Thanks so much for joining us wherever it is you're watching our show from. This is a new edition of This Week in Review, the show that gives you the rundown of the things that are going on in entertainment. So if you are a busy person and you want to, get at least the rundown or the spark notes, if you will, of some of the things that have happened over the course of the week, make sure you like and subscribe so that way you can keep tabs on what's going on and catch up on things that you might have missed over the week. And of course, I'm not going to be alone in talking about some of the topics that we talk about, whether it's in film, TV, sports, business, as long as it falls within the lines of the entertainment industry, we discuss it. And of course, I want to welcome Spillman. Let me bring him on now.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? Hope I'm doing good. I hope everybody's having a good week. Stay out of the heat. I just was at an event, and the icy lady was right there by me, and she was like, "Come on, get some ices. Come on and get some ices." So I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. So apologies if you were missing us last week. I had to, take a short break last week because there was a lot of conning going on. A lot of cons. We had Shore Leave happening last week. We had Contropolis, New Jersey happening last week, as well as BlurredCon. All of that happening last week, and I'm trying to do the do for y'all and cover all of those shows and give you the 411 of some of the things that are going on. So be on the lookout for that. I'll try to get that up as soon as I can. But there are a couple of things that have, a couple of like small things that happened over the course of this week's filming. So we want to, dive in. First, I want to get into some of the trailers briefly that did come out this week. And we have, Blue Beetle, we have Wonka, and AHSOKA. So with all three of those trailers, there's a lot to I feel like to unpack with some more so than others based on what's been happening behind the scenes based on the IP that we're talking about. So share your initial impressions of what you thought of these trailers that made the rounds this week.
Well, I like the Willy Wonka. It was a good, I see that they're going a little bit more friendly Willy than murderous Willy, but we don't know. Willy might be killing people like he did in the first movie. We'll see. I like that they have Timothy Chartreuse on there, or how do you say it? Timothy Chalamet. That's it. Timothy Chalamet. I like his work. He seems to be the new darling of Hollywood. So they keep giving him good projects to work on. So I expect it to be nothing but the best. Is Tim Burton doing this one? I think Tim Burton's doing this one, right?
He is not. No.
Oh, okay. I thought he was involved. I don't know why I thought he was involved. But anyway, no, it's because he did the last one. I'm sorry. So we'll see because I feel like the Tim. Yeah. I didn't really like the Johnny Depp ones. Those were kind of weird. I guess but I'm not the biggest Tim Burton fan, so that's beside the point.
Blasphemy! It's like, no, go ahead.
That's not blasphemy. I feel like he's been making the same thing. He just keeps making Beetlejuice. It was like Nightmare Before Christmas is Beetlejuice and Clay, and then Coraline is Beetlejuice.
Well, fun trivia fact: he did not direct Nightmare on Elm Street. A lot of people think that, but
well, I mean, it's his property.
I got you.
Though. It's his property. We're not going to say he directed it. Maybe that's why Nightmare on Elm Street is a little bit better than most of them other films because he didn't actually direct it. But that's fine. I like the Blue Beetle. I think that's a good property for DC because it doesn't have as much fatigue as some of their other things. I think that we really fail to look at how much Marvel not just going to their mainstays of X-Men or Spider-Man or other big projects. Like they haven't done an Iron Man standalone movie in like 15 years. So because they do other properties and they will have the characters in them, but they don't do as much properties that are just the same thing over and over. I think that audiences don't have as much fatigue for those. So we'll see. And then AHSOKA, gotta love AHSOKA. I am the president of the Rosario Dawson fan club. So we could see. Y'all on the internet can fight me over Rosario. I already had beef with Eric Andre for dating her for that little bit of time because I felt like I had a chance if Eric Andre could date her. So I'm excited to see what she does with the show. She was good in that cameo on The Mandalorian when she was training Grogu. So I'm interested in it. How about you?
All right. So, just to unpack, as I said, a couple of things to unpack with these trailers. I don't know why we needed another visit to Willy Wonka. And don't get me wrong, like I like the book. The book is classic. I like the
Yeah.
story overall. Um, I still the original holds a special place for me because I saw the original growing up. So that always is going to be something that I'm going to compare any future iteration to, is that original, because it's so iconic. I like the fact that Tim Burton had a chance to tackle it because it is such a whimsical kind of zany. There are some whimsical, zany elements. So when I knew that Tim Burton would be a part of like a new iteration of that story, it was something that excited me because I felt that based on the aesthetic that he's demonstrated in other films that he's done, that it would be something that he would bring an interesting element to. Um, Johnny Depp's performance aside, Johnny Depp's a terrific actor. I know a lot of people were talking about some of the comparisons of a certain artist that it seemed like he was just trying to like imitate versus bring anything, specifically original to that part. But with all that in mind, I appreciate the effort to try to do something different. However way the chips ended up falling by the end of it in the finished product, um, I'll still try to keep an open mind with this film. But I will say that from what I saw, I'm kind of okay. Like, I'm not like crazy excited about it. Now I am looking. Speaking of Timothy, I am looking forward to Dune. Like, I do want to see the Dune
Hmm.
sequel. But at least with this project, maybe feel like I need to see more of it in order to really feel excited about it. I feel like there there really wasn't a need to revisit the world of Willy Wonka again. I'm perfectly fine to be able to put that to rest with the original, especially after what we got with the remake, reboot, whatever you like to designate it as. At the time, I was willing to have an open mind, and on paper it sounded great. Having, like I said, having Tim Burton involved, having Johnny Depp involved. It just didn't connect with me as much as that original did. So maybe I'm just a little biased and not really being objective. But it is what it is. That's just how it happens sometimes. Sometimes you just have that connection. And I love Tim Burton. I mean, I know you were making your comments about Tim Burton. Tim Burton's awesome. Like Edward Scissorhands, awesome. I've said it many, many times on the show. The '89 Batman, my first movie. I love the '89 Batman. To this
See,
day, I still love the '89 Batman, and so many other Beetlejuice, like so many other films that he's done and been a part of, and even with collaborations that he's done with Johnny Depp or collaborations that he's done with Danny Elfman. Danny Elfman a lot of times does the score for a lot of his films. So like I love Tim Burton's terrific. He's awesome. It's just that for that particular film, just didn't really strike a chord or connect with me. Now with the other films, Blue Beetle, I'm willing to give it a shot. They have been talking about how Blue Beetle will, even though it hasn't been produced under the new management, so to speak, it will be a
hmm,
part of the it will be a part of this.
timeline.
Yeah, it will be a part of this current universe versus what came before. I know initially it was going to be a part of the that Snyderverse, and because I guess there were parts of it that perhaps Gunn had a chance to see in the film that he felt aesthetically works with what he's trying to do with the DCEU. He did make the comment that it will be included among the current universe that they're making now. So we'll see what happens with that. It looks decent enough. Who knows? Like maybe it can be the Spider-Man of that universe based off of what I've observed, what they can potentially do with that character who's kind of who's still a young character, and maybe he'll act as someone who gets mentored by some of the OG characters that we have, older characters, heroes that we'll have in that universe. Now with Ahsoka, um, I'm out of the three that we have, I'm probably the most excited about that film. Oh, not film, I should say series,
Series, yeah.
because while I've only seen, I didn't religiously watch the character's iteration in animation. I did, see portions of it when it was around, and then of course, as you were talking about, as she cameoed, through the series that we've had thus far with Mandalorian. It seems she's such a fascinating, and intriguing character. So I'm intrigued to see what that will look like when it's not in the capacity that we saw in live action, and seeing how much that can be fleshed out further with in the live capacity. As I said, I know that extensively she had a history in animation. It's just that I didn't see every single episode. I was able to
Oh
catch
yeah, she was raw on Clone
yeah,
Wars.
I was able to
She was
catch
raw on Clone
episodes here
Wars.
and there, and what I saw of it was terrific. So that would probably be, out of the three, the one that I'm most excited about. So those are my thoughts on those three trailers. Did you have any, final additional thoughts?
Um, I just think that these properties again, these companies don't come up with no new ideas. Like Blue Beetle is a new idea, and I think that they're gonna make more money than they thought they would. But just off of the fact that it's a new product, and we haven't seen that on the big screen, and people want to check it out. I think that they really do themselves a disservice with not. We're going for more safer bets and doing a 14th Batman movie instead of a new Cyborg or Flash. Like they just did the Flash and they lost a lot of money on that, but that's because of the politics of it. But yeah, I just think that these corporations are being increasingly greedy over this stuff, and I think that would lead us into our next topic. So I don't know what else you have to say about it either.
That is perfectly said. It actually segues perfectly into our next story. So let's dive in. So you probably saw when you were looking at the background that I had here for this episode, and it is official. On Thursday afternoon, there was a press conference with Union President Fran Drescher, seen here, National Executive Director and Chief Negotiator Duncan Crabtree Ireland. And it was over the announcement of a strike. It officially went into effect just after midnight on July 14th, with the Screen Actors Guild and the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, declaring a strike. This is an actors union, and it represents 160,000 performers, which include film, television actors worldwide. Just as you were mentioning, spills of how this, of just the what's at stake with what we have with this strike. What are just your initial impressions, and then I'll go further into some of the specifics.
I think that it's just the the whole situation with this is it's just more greed. I saw a pay statement from I think her name is Kieko, the Asian girl that was the girlfriend on Orange is the New Black,
Yeah,
and she had dozens of episodes. She had like maybe it was like when you get your cell phone statement and it's a landscape style paper and it's got all your charges on it. She has several pages of those episodes where she appeared in, obviously, and from that she made $27 in royalty. $27 is barely enough to pay for Netflix subscription right now. Just the base Netflix subscription, let alone the subscription for their premium services, like being able to use your Netflix on multiple homes or what have you. So to think about the reach that show had, for her to not be getting any kind of residuals or any kind of royalties outside of $30 is crazy. A lot of these shows are like that. These streaming platforms are, just look at your family. Everybody here and everybody listening and everybody that is on this internet has some kind of streaming service that they pay for. You've got Netflix, $25. That's $25 a month. And it don't just be your Netflix. Let's say you got a Netflix, your brother got a Netflix, your mom got a Netflix. Everybody pays for this. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars every day coming into these people's coffers, and they're not paying the staff. And it's just really sad that we're at the point in our country where that's what we do.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I guess just in general, as someone, and I haven't shared this, but like as someone who has acted in the past and has been fortunate to be able to get residual on past work, a lot of times, people think that just and I've seen it in many posts where people are picturing, oh, it's just the household name actors that
Mm-hmm.
you see in movies and in TV and so on and so on. But no, that's a small fraction of the union, and it's not about those household actors that you hear about. It's about the entire workforce of performers at large, because many of them, I would say everybody, they're dependent upon that residual income to be able to, survive.
Mm-hmm.
You think that a lot of people who are not a part of the industry, they think that, oh, you've done that one project and you're set. Like, no, like that's not how it works. Like, you get paid that one time, you may already have another project set up, or you may not have another project set up for a couple of months. And so you need that residual income to carry you through in that period of time before you do your next project. It's not like, your typical 9 to 5 where, you can rely upon that income to be there, as a W-2 employee where, you're going in, you're going to get a biweekly pay all the time like that. And don't get me wrong, like if you're doing a TV show, that's slightly different, but there's no guarantee that a TV show lasts forever. And if you have a TV show that lasts for like a couple of seasons, you can still get residual income, say if it is placed on another platform. You're still able to get residual income from that, and it can be substantial residual income that can last you for a while. So it's crazy to think that we're at a point, and I didn't mention this in the story, but it's crazy that we're at a point where we not only have the actors that have gone on strike, but we also have the writers going on strike too.
Mm-hmm.
They've already been on strike, just as prior to the official announcement made by SAG and AFTRA. So I really do hope that executives are able to come to their senses of being able to be able to come to an agreement and share in the revenue that's made with all the projects that they have, in order to properly compensate the very folks that allow you to make the products that you make. Just as you were saying, of what people pay for each of these services, considering how much, and then I want to pull it up in a second. Considering how much, on average, many of the executives are making, it's insane to think that you're telling me not any of that can potentially go to towards the performers that create the very product that you profit from.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane to me. So it, it's going to have, it has other, it's already had, repercussions of how it affects other things. Right now, it may not be as immediate, or noticeable, because, maybe there are some projects that have already been finished and done, but it will soon, become a thing, because eventually, once those projects end up concluding, there won't be any new content, because we'll still be on strike. In which case, we'll probably have, reruns of a lot of, those projects that we know and love. But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of mind-boggling to me when you've had it, when we've, and you probably have seen it too, the breakdown of how much a lot of these executives are making on average, and you trying to understand, okay, do you honestly need to make that amount of money? You're telling me that not you can't take you can't take a portion of what you're making from your average salary. Is it really going to make or break you to come up with a better deal to ensure that you don't have your performers, living from paycheck to paycheck, or worst off, even in the worst example, maybe not living paycheck to paycheck, like really struggling. So I don't know if you have any, further thoughts. I'm trying to see if I can find that breakdown of some of the average average salaries of what we have for executives. But go ahead.
Okay, for sure. But I just, I just want to go back. I'd hate to make this take a lean, but these corporations are making millions and billions of dollars on these properties.
Billions with a B. Let's
Um,
be honest. Billions with a B.
Billions, easily billions with a B. They aren't being honest about what they do with their numbers. Like they're not saying, "Oh, you know, you had the number 3 show in the country," because they don't do Nielsen numbers anymore. It's not even like they could you could truly know, like they're funny with the money, with the numbers on how they even break down. Okay, well, your show was streamed this many X amount of hours. Because I think that we are not really realizing how much this is a phenomenon now, because it's not like it's tied to advertisers anymore or a block of time. Like, it used to be much more transparent with, oh, well, this movie got this many things. Like if you were talking about movie ticket sales, that's one thing. But a lot of these stuff, and then a lot of it too, is the corporations will do sneaky things with how they process the releases of things. Like that Black Widow movie, they kind of cut the legs off of the Black Widow movie. So I bet you any amount of money that when what's her name? I was going to say Natasha's name, but that's not her name.
Scarlett
Her name is
Johansson.
Scott. Yeah, when Scarlett goes back to renegotiate, they'll be like, well, we put your standalone movie out and it didn't really do the numbers that it wanted to. And she'll be like, well, that's not fair. And they'll be like, well, if the people loved it, they would have risked COVID to see the movie. So, it's just so many things that they've done, and, removing things from their platform, even though they paid for it, so they don't have to pay royalties, but they're holding it so it won't be played. It seems like they're not playing fair, and they haven't been playing fair for a very long time with this stuff. We hear a lot more about it in the music industry, with people like Spotify and stuff, but it's the same. It's the same monster, but just a different color of fur. That's a good measure. Did you pull up those numbers for the
I wasn't able to pull up those. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
But I know, like, I think Bob Iger makes like $37 million a year, like he's Michael Jordan in 1998, which is crazy. He probably makes way more than that, and it's like, I get that we can't expect, like, if you have a bit part on something, but we're talking about people like that lady from Orange is the New Black has like, I feel like Orange is the New Black is the show that really showed people, oh, you can sit and just watch TV. Like we stream it now. We binge watch the TV. We don't just, because it used to be, TV was so appointment. All right, this is my appointment. I'm gonna watch it Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Everybody did it. But now it's like, did you see the new thing? You got to spend a weekend and watch it, or you got to watch it whenever. So, like, and also, with the way the streaming works and the phones and stuff, people probably are watching way more TV than they ever have. Even though we, are a TV based culture and TV's everything, with the streaming and people working remotely and stuff, and you can see it on your phone. The daytime numbers have to be crazy right now. So I'm just amazed that we are at this point with um, these services, and they act like it's not really a big deal. It's just more the income inequality in America. And I don't want to get on a soapbox on this because obviously we're a nice, happy, sponsor-ready podcast and video show. We'd love to get those dollars in, ladies and gentlemen. Come and help us put this show on. We'll do the things, but we really need to work on what we do as a culture because stock buybacks and stuff do not help the people that create the stuff that makes the stock stockable, which doesn't make sense. And we could say we could do what we want to, but it's really not that. And people really need to take care of the workers because there was a time where people did not like the workers, and then the workers, they will make bread out of you. If you try to tell us to eat cake, we'll make bread out of you. So it needs to really be something that is much more effective as far as profit sharing. It is what it is. What do you think?
I mean, so there have been a couple of examples. I know I wasn't able to pull up I'm going to try to see if I can still find that post that had the number breakdown there. But there have been other, I know you were mentioning the example with Orange is the New Black. There have been other examples and cases of that really demonstrate or send it home as to what's really at stake, where in talking about the examples that we have with extras, that one thing that's been discussed is how there may be a possibility of extras having, I don't know if you saw this, of extras having their image.
Oh yeah, that was atrocious.
Where you get paid.
They scan your face.
You get paid one time, and getting paid that one time that the studio, that the company is able to use the image however way they want for eternity. Like they're able to basically recycle, that image or that likeness of you. When we're talking about many of the extras, and I mean, everyone has provides their talents and their what's the word that I want to use, their contribution to the final product of filmmaking, whether it is your household name, that is your leading man, your leading actress, your ensemble, your supporting cast, the folks that you have that are even in the background. Like they all play their important role in that overall product that we have, whether it's a TV show, whether it's a film. And to try to shortchange even at the level that you have with background actors, where background actors don't get paid a whole lot of money when they're providing their time and their efforts, even as a background performer. And we've all started there. Like that still has as much value as someone that is that, like I said, who's the leading actor. I've done it. I've been a background performer, in a film, and you're on set just like leading actors hours at a time. So to try to find a way to kind of shortchange that as well, to really be that I don't want to get into the word petty, but to really get to that
greedy
point where even with your background actors, you're going to try to shortchange them and just pay them one time versus paying them for the efforts that they have over the course of a production, over time spent over production. Maybe, you're a background actor for a couple of days, maybe it's for a week, maybe it's longer than that. But to try to only pay one time and then say, oh yeah, we'll just like recycle that and just reuse it however way we choose. I'm gonna give a hat tip to Jeffrey Reddick. Jeffrey Reddick, if you aren't familiar, if the name doesn't sound familiar with it, he's the creator of the horror franchise known as Final Destination, and he retweeted it himself. I'm gonna see if I can pull up the tweet, and this was actually one that he had retweeted from Devin Sawa, who, if you know, Final Destination was the main character from the first film, and he talks about, which you don't think about it when you're watching the film, how how there are things going on that you're not even privy to or aware of. But let me see if I can find it here. I think I got it, where it talks about the fact that he thought, in if you know the franchise, there was at one point, I want to say this is Final Destination 5, if I memory serves, with the installment, but his character makes a reappearance because your story, in terms of the story of that film, they try to bring it. You come to find out that 5 is more of a prequel and not necessarily a new installment, and it brings it full circle back to the events of the first movie. So you think that, oh, of course, even though this was footage from the first movie, of course they got paid for it.
Paid,
Come to
yeah.
find out, he didn't get paid for it. Like he was from way the post reads, he was under the impression that it was going to be used for promotional material and not for a whole other film. So that raises a whole other bag of questions of, okay, if this is still just like you would have, residuals with a TV show, of having that material being used again, why didn't the same happen in this case of with this film? So
Hmm.
it's pretty insane how things, just like Fran has mentioned in the conference that they had on Thursday, that has gotten to this point where it's just such a disconnect of understanding that you need to properly value the folks that you are in, that you're working with to create the product that makes that makes your business run. So yeah, I'm gonna try
I,
to go ahead.
I think they need to follow a little bit like the sampling rule. Like, in hip hop, for the first like 10 years of hip hop, sampling was the wild, wild west. You could sample anything and you could make however much money you could, and nothing would happen from it. But, by the 90s, people like MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice, all those kind of guys were having issues with not clearing samples and stuff. And people were like, oh, well, you're not going to clear samples. You got to pay your royalties. So, you know, you also have to ask people's permission, because it is such a thing that you can't just use my work and make millions of dollars off it. You can't put me in, you can't put me in the Final Destination 5 and use my whole face and take it and not credit me. It's just, it's crazy that people can make so much money from taking things from people, but this is how the world works. The strong take from the
Unfortunately,
weak.
unfortunately, this is where we're at. I would take it a step further and say, unfortunately, that's where we're at, versus like just accepting it and saying that that's the way the world works. So I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
but with that said, gosh, I'm gonna try to see if I can locate this post for you guys. One second to see if I can
Yeah, but
bring it up for you. Because I do want to be able to share, that particular post, because it, like I said, it gives very clear insight of like what's at stake and what's really going on, where most people are just looking at it very surface level because they are just seeing, as I said, at one capacity of just the actors that are, as I said, the household names, but it's bigger than that. It's more than that small finite, group of performers. We're talking about the entire, the entire group of performers in which they only provide maybe a point one percentage of that truly rely on not only the initial, income that they get for doing the project, but also the residual income of what's made when it's being, used in any other capacity, whether it's in syndication, um,
Mm-hmm.
on a given streamer. Because I mean, we see it all the time where you have an entire series on on a streamer where you're able to watch, seasons upon seasons, of a show, and are your writers, are your uh, actors being properly, compensated, for those efforts
Mm-hmm.
of something that is, bringing content to your platform.
Mm-hmm. It's just
So
sad.
yeah. Well, all right. So we're going to wrap up here. I will put it up on our social media so that way you guys see. I want to say I have it. We have it retweeted. For whatever reason, I'm not able to track it down, but you can find it over there. But with that out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching. Before I let you guys go, I'm going to punt it over to Spillman to tell folks where they can find them. Go ahead, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. You can find me on Instagram at Truly Spill. I'm there reminding you to do not leave your children in the car. It's very hot outside. I know you're flustered. You got a lot going on. You got the groceries to bring in. You got an important appointment. Remember that, baby. Don't leave that baby in that hot car. It's too hot in there for him or her. So please take care of the babies. Remember, it's hot. Get them my icy or something. They'll enjoy it. I know no one wants to pay for it. Sorry about that, everyone. Can you hear me?
Here we go. Yep, I'm here. So yes,
Yep.
again, I want to thank Spillman for hopping on. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of This Week in Review. And as I said, if you want to keep up to speed on things that are going on in entertainment, make sure you like and subscribe so that way you can be kept up to speed of what's going on. Let's see what we have coming up. We do have a breakdown of, let's see, A Strange New Worlds with New Frontiers happening tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. And we also have a episode breakdown of the latest episode of Secret Invasion with extraterrestrial spooks. So be on the lookout for that. So let's see, we have New Frontiers dropping at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. So 11:30 a.m. And then we'll have extraterrestrial spooks dropping at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time directly following that. So you got a double header of some episode breakdowns. Of course, next week we have San Diego Comic-Con happening. It should be an interesting one, just based off of what we just discussed with the strike happening, not only with the WGA, but also with the Screen Actors Guild, AFTRA, with the cancellations that are happening there. So, I'll try to give you the 411 of what's going on there. You can keep track of that on our YouTube because we'll be, hitting up some shorts. There will be some interviews with some of the creatives that are there. But I will also try to give you a breakdown of the nature of what's, happening at SDCC, since much of the content that they do uh, has studio involvement in terms of them bringing guests, which due to the topic that we just had won't be happening next week. So it's definitely going to be an interesting show. But with that out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and see you soon. Peace.
5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. Give us 5.